Bring in Democratic Congressman Khanna of California, sits on the Armed Services Committee. Congressman, just to, get a sense of where we are here. Obviously, Congress was not, Democratic members of Congress, at least for sure, you were not informed of this in advance. Here we are now as a member of the Armed Services Committee. Have you been briefed at all on any of this at this point?
We're told we're going to be briefed tomorrow. But the problem with these strikes are not just constitutional. I mean, he should have come to Congress before going to war with Iran. And every headline across the country says U.S. enters war with Iran. So that requires congressional authorization. But the problem, as your correspondent just pointed out, is that now Iran, which has the know-how, which has spare centrifuges, which may have saved some of the enriched uranium, is going to be incentivized to get out of the NPT, which they said they would, to kick out any of the inspectors, and like Pakistan and North Korea, to develop this program in a covert way. So the question is, what did we achieve? We put a lot of our troops at risk. We're spending a lot of billions of dollars to send more troops to the Middle East. The president ran on ending endless wars. What did we achieve? And didn't he betray the promise that he made to the American people not to get us into more wars in the Middle East?
I'm curious when you talk about, that they would be incentivized to get out of the non-proliferation treaty and to, covertly pursue a nuclear weapon. Dmitry Medvedev, obviously deputy head of the Putin Security Council, also former president. Right now, often he says things that are I guess politely, to be polite here, a bit half-cocked. But sometimes what he says does reflect what the Kremlin is thinking. And he is saying that there are other countries that would provide nuclear weapons and know-how to Iran, given what the United States has chosen to do. Calling it a dangerous escalation has begun. Now, look, you got to, like I said, perhaps take it with a grain of salt, but this is what we're getting coming out of the Kremlin. How seriously do you take that? And do you have a sense of where Russia stands right now as a crucial ally of Iran? It has depended on Iranian weapons to wage its war in Ukraine.
Well, Erin, obviously we need to oppose that very, very strongly. And you know that the Iranian foreign minister is meeting in Moscow, and they supply a lot of the drones that Russia has been using to attack Ukraine. But here's the tragedy of all of this. We had the JCPOA. That agreement was not just between the United States and Iran. We also had Russia's buy-in and China's buy-in. And under that agreement, Iran had committed not to enrich uranium by more than 3.67% and only at Natanz, no other place. And the IAEA never found a single violation of that agreement. Now, we could have strengthened it. It didn't apply to ballistic missiles. But instead of building on that agreement that had Russia and China's buy-in, Donald Trump ripped the agreement apart. Now he's bombed these sites, but there's no game plan. How are we going to prevent Iran from getting a bomb? And how are we going to prevent more billions of dollars from going to the Middle East, more of our troops from going to the Middle East, and this being a drain on the American people?
So, Congressman Khanna, as a member of the Armed Services Committee, when you think about the 40,000 U.S. troops in the Persian Gulf, and of course more have been being put in there in here recent days with these carrier strike groups, how worried are you about their safety?
I'm worried, and I support the president now in terms of deploying to do everything we can to keep our troops safe. I mean, they are at risk. The problem is that this is the unintended consequences of striking Iran. It always seems triumphant when we do these things the day after. We talk about the damage we've done. Same thing we talked about deposing Saddam Hussein. The problem is all the unintended consequences that the American people bear for the months, years, and sometimes decades afterwards. And I am concerned not just about the security of the troops. I'm concerned about our foreign embassies. I'm concerned about possible counterterrorism in the region. I'm concerned that this is putting the Arab allies that could have been more aligned with Israel, Saudi, Egypt, Jordan, now condemning the United States and Israel, or the populations at least condemning them, and that we've created a mess.
So what do you think happens from here? Is there such at this point, are we literally in a situation where it's just as the U.S. tries to assess what damage was really done to those sites, right? That's one thing. But essentially just waiting, the ball's in Iran's court?
We need to de-escalate. We need to make it clear to Iran that the worst thing they can do is to hit any American asset or American troop. I mean, they will have unanimous condemnation by Congress if they dare to take that step. But we need to also pass Thomas Massie and my war powers resolution on Monday so that we make a clear signal that we don't want a war. I mean, just while I've been waiting for your program, Donald Trump is tweeting out that he's joking around about regime change. That is not funny. That is a enormous, costly endeavor. And so we need to pass a war powers resolution in Congress preventing an escalation.
Congressman Khanna, I appreciate your time and thank you.